What's up everybody, my name is Cal, and today I'm going to talk to you about what the Mothman is. The Mothman is an infamous cryptozoological creature, or cryptid, that dates back to 1966 and is regarded by many as a dark omen. The Mothman is depicted as a 7-foot winged humanoid creature with a massive wingspan between 10 to 15 feet. It is said to be in a variation of colours from black, grey and brown, typically darker shades, along with 2 large red reflective eyes. Despite newspaper articles giving this cryptid the name that it has, there isn't really any moth-like resemblance. Most encounters have described it more as a large humanoid owl or bird. One witness account who has seen the Mothman's face clearly could only describe it as horrible and monstrous, giving them terrible nightmares. Sounds pretty bad then. The first alleged encounter of the Mothman took place on November 12, 1966, specifically in Clendenin, the Point Pleasant area, West Virginia. 5 men were preparing a grave for a burial in a cemetery when they saw a brown winged creature lifting off from nearby trees. All the men held to fact that what lifted beyond the trees was no bird but a humanoid. The last known alleged sighting of the Mothman was back in November of 2019. How normal things were back then. This was near O'Hare International Airport in Chicago. The eyewitness account, who was looking towards the runways, stated that they had spotted what appeared to be a large bird outside the fence by the parking lot. They described it as more of a person with wings that was stretched out and flapping, walking away from the fence to the open fields, wings flapping and then disappearing. This description of the cryptid matches several other sightings within various Chicago neighbourhoods a month prior. But since then there haven't been any new witness accounts, but if you know of any new ones, please do comment this down below. There have been similar sightings of the Mothman or similar cryptids that have been spotted worldwide. These sightings, however, seem to herald impending disasters. For example, a mine in Freiburg in Germany was visited by a Mothman-like creature, which scared the miners away shortly before the mine collapsed. Another example was a sighting at a nuclear plant in Chernobyl, where a creature haunted the facilities for a long period of time before the eventual and tragic nuclear meltdown. It could be possible that the Mothman could be warning us about some disasters that are about to happen. I will now read a true alleged encounter. This took place 3 days after the very first sighting, which was by those men in the cemetery, and this takes place in Pleasure Point in West Virginia. This is also based in the TNT area, which is where the most sightings of the Mothman took place. So sit back, relax, and don't get spooked. On the cold night of November 15th, 1966, 3 days after the first sighting took place, that 2 young couples would encounter this bizarre creature. Roger and Linda Scarberry were driving in Roger's black 57 Chevy Bel Air with Steve and Mary Malat through the area around midnight when Linda noticed unbelievably 2 large glowing red eyes in the darkness beside the Old North power plant and screamed. They soon learned that these eyes belonged to something that looked frankly human, about 7 feet tall with wings folded against its back. Roger stalled in the road for a minute, inspecting the strange creature. The 4 realised immediately that their spectacle was no ordinary bird. The true horror began, however, when the creature spread its wings and pursued them down Highway 62 to Point Pleasant city limits at speeds exceeding 100 miles an hour. The 4 arrived in town, startled and confused, and with no sign of the mysterious bird that had chased them. Roger parked his car at the edge of town and they discussed their encounter, eventually deciding that what they saw was nothing more than an aberrant bird, and in an attempt to face their fears, they again drove towards the TNT area. It wasn't long before they saw the creature again, apparently waiting on them beside Route 62. The couples now realised that their stalker was no bird, but in the instant that their car's headlights landed on the creature, it lifted vertically into the air with tremendous speed and disappeared above the tree line. This time when they arrived into town, they went to the Mason County Courthouse and told their story to Sheriff George Johnson and Deputy Miller Halstead. 2 hours later, city police began investigating the area, only to return empty-handed. The next day, a press conference was held and the local press began printing on the story, causing others to come forward with previous and future sightings. This was the major event that started it all. In the November 16th issue of the Point Pleasant Register, the strange encounter would be brought to the public eye with the headline, "Couple sees man-sized bird creature something." The strange encounter in the TNT area was a harrowing experience for everyone involved, and on the morning of November 16th, 1966, Linda Scarberry was rushed to hospital by her father after experiencing a nervous breakdown. On the phenomenon, Roger Scarberry stated, "I'm a hard guy to scare, but last night, I was for sure getting out of there." And that was my take on the Mothman, an infamous cryptozoological creature, or cryptid, that has a popular following, potentially a creature that some find as a bad omen, perhaps an entity that doesn't want to harm us, but rather warn us of oncoming disasters. Does the Mothman exist? In my personal opinion, I'm leaning more to it not existing. It's been nearly 2 years since a new encounter, and we've had some new natural disasters since, but no sightings of the Mothman to warn or foreshadow us. I also think it's possible that it could have been a large bird of some kind all those years ago, a tanked up bird possibly, but one that now no longer exists. Of course, I leave it to you to decide if the Mothman exists. So comment down below if you think the Mothman exists, if you or anyone that you know has had a personal encounter, and if you've got any other information regarding the Mothman that I haven't mentioned. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!